Check, 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 check. Are we all right? Thank you. All right. Good morning. Good morning. My name is Colin, and I am a proud Benchmark alum. Now, I know what you were all thinking, and Benchmark alumni do exist. Oh yes, we are out there, legions of us, scattered throughout the globe and the greater Philadelphia region. I spent 7 years at this educational stronghold, although it was a little smaller then, and muscled my way through the library level, one decoded word at a time, to make my way to the Perot wing. My claim to fame, as already stated, is that I was one of the 5 students in the first third-year program officially. They took one look at me when I arrived in the middle school and said, "We're going to need at least another year with this one." Clearly, they noticed that I couldn't tie my shoes without getting distracted by something shiny. A problem that most of my friends will say I still have. I once asked why I had to stay for a third year when most of my other classmates were not. They were off to Shipley or Penn Charter. And I remember being politely reminded that I still hadn't figured out the whole reading thing yet, so that had to be remedied. And that's how I became one of the first third years ever at the Benchmark Middle School. In hindsight, I probably could have used the 4th year, but I'm sure the school doesn't want their students driving themselves every day. There's not enough parking. Upon graduating, I went to Blair Academy, boarding school, New Jersey, and then attended and graduated from NYU's Tisch School of the Arts. Throughout my academic endeavors, I was fortunate to stay very close with my mentor, Mrs. Six, who subsequently became the proofreader for every single paper I ever handed in. I'm not joking. So I would like to now take this opportunity to say thank you, Mrs. Six. Where are you? Thank you, Mrs. Six, for helping me graduate. She shares the same sentiments, as is my father, who's sitting next to you. Now, the real reason why I believe I have been given the honor of addressing this year's graduates and Benchmark community is because I recently had the pleasure of working very closely with this batch of students. You see, I'm a professional actor, singer, dancer, musician, writer, and musical theater is the form that I seem to work the most in. So, of course, I try to come back and offer up my skill set when I can and if it is wanted. The very first show I ever did in my entire life was at this school, and of course it was Oklahoma. Set on the tiny stage in what is now the lunchroom, I was a little round-faced 6th grader with the voice of a soaring girl soprano who was cast to play Curly, a hulking baritone. Clearly my best work. I will go on record and say that Nick blew me out of the water, so hands down. There you go, Nicky. But I knew the second I walked out of that broom closet on that little stage and squeaked out, "Oh, what a beautiful morning," 2 octaves too high, that I was hooked. You see, I always sang. Everywhere. All the time. And I still do. In my head, out loud. I'm not shy about it. It was quite a problem when it came to focusing on anything productive. But I could never get away from music, so now it's what I do. It really wasn't until I came back a couple of years ago for one of my visits to help out that I saw what my Benchmark stage experience gave me. A kid who was goofy, didn't fit in, was too sensitive, couldn't focus, sit still, or get through a book. A kid who would chalk his failures up to being stupid or slow. It's interesting. A school which exists for young minds who have considerably different learning styles would do anything remotely close to a musical, let alone a Rodgers and Hammerstein classic with a ballet in the middle of it. It's even more interesting that this is not a drama club activity, but rather a massive production that the entire middle school has to participate in. But that's just another one of those things that makes this place so special and unique, I guess. Now, what I find the most intriguing is how the musical becomes so much more than a show. It takes the students and the community and challenges them in a way that is undeniable, that is overwhelmingly daunting. Everyone has to band together. Everyone has to show up and focus. You have to know your lines, not just be familiar with them. You have to sing, you have to dance, you have to know your cues for the set, sound, and lighting. And most importantly, all of these things will not happen. They will not mesh if there is less than 100% effort. Because come rain or shine, the curtain is going to open, the show will go on, whether you are ready or not, and it's going to happen in front of people you see every day. People in this room, your peers, your family, people you love. A huge undertaking and an incredible risk. The best part is that all of you, my fellow benchmarkers, you had to take this challenge on. You had to lean on those things you've learned over the years inside this building, right? Now, left with no choice but to apply those words that you've heard your teacher say a million times, those things you've had drilled in us since the library level, words like flexible, persistent, patience. You had to apply your problem-solving skills in order to do what you needed to do. Only this time it wasn't for a book report. It wasn't for homework. It was for you. All of you were forced to figure out exactly how you were going to pull this off, to rise to the occasion. See, you can't hide when you're on stage. And no one wants to sit through a 3-hour-long torture session. That's the first way to get Colin McAdoo to boo out loud, and you know that I will do it. I will go boo in the back of the room. Now, I hope you realize that I do the same things now. I reach into my benchmark bag of emergency tricks, and I pull out a little persistence. Most recently, I pull out a lot of patience. I find myself using it in moments of frustration and doubt, when I'm overwhelmed and distracted. Through these musicals, Benchmark gave me one of the most important lessons I have ever learned, and I hope that I was able to pass that on to you. I am not alone. Even if it's just me on a stage with no one else. If I'm in college or boarding school and can't wrap my head around the difference between a comma or a semicolon, I am not alone. I learned how to know exactly what I need for the expectations at hand and how to set up a support system for myself, one that I carry with me today and one that this school is still very much a part of. I have the skill set to look at an obstacle and figure out how to chip away at it. And I know that you soon-to-be Benchmark alumni do too. You are a special group of young men and women, and I remain blown away and overwhelmed by your heart and talent. I'm proud to say that I've worked with you, and I cannot wait to hear the stories of what will come, because I know that they will be awesome. I treated you guys like professionals because that's just what it is. And I watched you not only rise to the occasion and my expectations, but surpass them. I had the pleasure of watching the whole community come together around you guys to pull off something inspiring. I hope you remember that. How it felt on Friday when you took your last bow. how you feel now, standing in a doorway of new opportunities, eagerly looking forward. As you all go off to other places, other schools, you make new friends, and drift away from your experiences this year. I hope you go into your next adventures with the same determination and risk-taking that you did with us, with me. Even if it's just finding a new mentor at your high school, buckling down to get through algebra, putting yourself out there, going out for the soccer team. You not only have the skills and knowledge to chase down anything you want, but you have the heart to do it as well. I know that, and you all proved it, even if you never do another musical again. I am honored that I was asked to address you this morning, friends and family of the Benchmark graduating class of 2013. Thank you. I've also been asked to sing for you guys, and chose a song that is from the show Ragtime called Make Them Hear You, that I saw with on a New York trip with Benchmark when I was in 7th grade, and I sat next to Mrs. Six and a good friend of mine, David Gaunt, who right before this song in the play vomited on the woman in front of us. It's a small world, guys, so be nice. And Mrs. Blair will be playing, helping me out.
Justice was our battle, and how justice was denied. Make them hear you, make them hear you, and say to those who blame us for the way we chose to fight, that sometimes there are battles that are more than black or white. Justice was